You are holding a secret that most people will never discover. Not because it is hidden, not because they are unworthy, but because they are simply not ready. There is something that moves quietly through reality, like water finding its own level, a transmission that reveals itself only when a mind reaches the precise state required to receive it. This isn't mysticism disguised as wisdom. This is the way reality actually operates. And right now, in this exact moment, if you are here watching this, something within you has already aligned with what brought you here. The ancient ones understood this deeply. They did not write books to inform you. They wrote them to activate you. Every story, every parable, every seemingly simple line in those texts was never just entertainment. It was a key. And that key only turns when something inside you has evolved enough to match its shape. What you are about to encounter is not just a collection of ideas. It is a living technology of consciousness, something that does not exist in linear time, but in resonance. And the fact that you are here right now, that is not coincidence. That is recognition on a level deeper than logic. So let me show you what is really happening. The universe does not function like a machine where you put in effort and get results back. It operates more like a radio, endlessly transmitting signals across different layers of reality. And what you receive has nothing to do with how hard you try. It depends entirely on what you are tuned into. Most people spend their lives trying to force reality to match their expectations, never realizing that the only thing that needs to shift is their own ability to receive. You have been taught that knowledge is something you must chase, that wisdom belongs to those who search harder, dig deeper, push further into the unknown. But here is the part almost no one tells you. The most powerful teachings do not arrive through effort. They arrive through alignment. The universe does not respond to the story you tell yourself about who you are. It responds to what you actually are. It reads something deeper, something unfiltered, the real state of your being. And when that state aligns with what already exists, reality begins to reorganize itself, delivering exactly what was always available, but previously out of reach. If this is resonating with you, take a moment to like this video. It helps this message reach others who are ready. And subscribe if you want to stay connected to this level of awareness. But there's something else happening here, something most teachings never touch. They tell you what to do, what practices to master, what levels to reach. But the deepest truths don't ask you to do anything. They ask you to see, to recognize what has been here the entire time, hidden only because you weren't perceiving from the right state. Think about infrared light. It exists whether you can see it or not. It's present, active, real, but your eyes simply aren't designed to detect it. Does that make it unreal? No. It only means your perception hasn't expanded far enough yet. The moment you put on infrared goggles, an entirely new layer of reality appears, one that was always there. Consciousness works the same way. Right now, in this moment, there are possibilities surrounding you. Opportunities, connections, insights, resources, fully present, fully real, yet completely invisible to where you currently stand. Not because they are being withheld, but because you have not yet become the version of yourself that can see them. And the moment that changes, reality itself doesn't change, your perception does. And in practical terms, that changes everything. So let me take you somewhere. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you are walking through an ancient marketplace, not one from history, but one that exists between thought and matter. A place where the invisible begins to take form. There's a woman sitting behind a table. The objects in front of her shimmer with a kind of light that shouldn't exist. Vessels crafted from crystallized starlight, mirrors that don't reflect your face, but your potential, rings woven from the fabric of wishes that never came true, but never truly disappeared. Her name, in this story, is Jessica Martinez, and she carries a problem that makes no sense. She cannot sell anything. Not because people don't want what she has, they want it desperately. But every time someone tries to buy one of her treasures, something impossible happens. The payment dissolves. Gold coins turn into dried leaves. Silver fades into vapor. Even precious gems crumble into dust the moment they touch her hand. For years, she believes she is failing, that she is the worst merchant in all of Damascus, cursed with goods that refuse to be traded. Until one evening, everything changes. A traveler arrives. His eyes are empty from searching. His hands carry nothing but loss. He doesn't even know what he's looking for anymore, only that he has been searching for what feels like lifetimes. And then, his gaze lands on something simple, a copper bowl, an object that hundreds before him had tried to buy and failed. But this time, something different happens. The bowl begins to hum, not with sound, but with presence, a subtle vibration that only he can feel. And when he lifts it, something inside him recognizes it instantly, even though his mind cannot explain why. Every cell in his body knows this was meant for him, not for anyone else, for him. At this exact moment, after this exact journey, when he offers payment, the coins remain solid. They do not dissolve. The exchange completes. The bowl has found its owner. And in that moment, Jessica realizes the truth that changes everything. Her items were never refusing to be sold. They were refusing to be owned by those who were not ready. Each object carried a specific signature of consciousness, and it would only fully exist, only become real in its complete form, when someone whose awareness matched that signature arrived. This is how reality works. Not through scarcity, but through resonance. What you are seeking is also seeking you, but not the version of you that you pretend to be, the version of you that you present to the world. It is seeking the version of you that is emerging, the one shaped by everything you have lived through, everything you have released, everything you have opened yourself to receive. And here is what this means, practically. Every book that has ever changed your life, every idea that broke you open, every relationship that transformed you, none of it was random. None of it was coincidence. They were precise, perfectly timed encounters. Your consciousness shifted, and reality responded, delivering exactly what you needed at the exact moment you were able to receive it. So the real question is not whether life is abundant. The real question is, are you in the state where that abundance can actually reach you? Because this is where most people get stuck. They think alignment means doing more, trying harder, meditating longer, repeating affirmations louder. But alignment isn't about adding anything. It's about removing what is in the way. The beliefs, the fears, the stories about why you are not enough, why you are not ready, why it hasn't happened yet. These are the only things blocking what is already trying to find you. This is where most people unknowingly get trapped. They believe that tuning themselves means doing more, working harder, meditating longer, repeating affirmations louder, as if intensity alone could unlock what they seek. But here's the deeper truth. Tuning has nothing to do with addition. It has everything to do with subtraction. It's not about stacking more practices on top of who you are. It's about removing what was never meant to stay. The interference, the noise, the layers of belief, fear, and quiet assumptions that whisper, "I'm not ready. I'm not enough. It's not time yet." These are not harmless thoughts. They are distortions in your signal, blocking what is already trying to reach you. And this is why Jessica's marketplace is not just a story, it's a mirror of your life right now. Every single day, you are walking past treasures that are waiting for you to become ready for them. Relationships that could transform you. Opportunities that could elevate you. Insights that could liberate you. They are not hidden. They are here. Present. Real. But still invisible to you, because your current state has not yet aligned with them. So the real question is no longer, how do I get more? It becomes, how do I become the version of myself who can finally see? How do you rise into that state where what was invisible suddenly becomes undeniable? Not through force, but through presence. Not through striving, but through stillness. Not through seeking more, but through releasing what is standing between you and what is already here. So pause for a moment, right here, right now. Don't skip this. What comes next is not just information. It's activation. And if you allow it, it will begin to change the way reality responds to you from this moment forward. Tonight, before you fall asleep, I want you to do something different. Not a ritual in the traditional sense. Not meditation as you've been taught. No need to clear your mind. No need to force stillness. Just remember, go back through your life, slowly. The last month, the last year, maybe even the last decade, and find 3 moments. 3 precise moments where something entered your life at exactly the right time. Not a day too early, when you wouldn't have understood. Not a day too late, when the door would have already closed. But at the exact moment your inner world was ready to receive it. Maybe it was a book mentioned casually by someone, and when you opened it, it answered a question you hadn't even spoken out loud. Maybe it was a breakdown, something that felt like everything falling apart. only to realize later it forced you into a breakthrough you had been avoiding. Or maybe it was a stranger, someone who said just a few words, 7 words, maybe, and somehow those words rewrote the way you see yourself entirely. As each memory comes back, don't just observe it, acknowledge it. Speak this truth out loud. I recognize the perfect timing of all gifts. I trust the wisdom that guides their arrival. I am ready to receive what seeks me now. This is not affirmation for comfort. This is acknowledgement, a signal sent into the deeper layer of reality, saying, I see the intelligence behind my life. I recognize the pattern, and I am no longer resisting what is already on its way to me. And when you begin to practice this, consistently, not once, but as a way of seeing, something begins to shift. Subtly at first, then unmistakably. Opportunities that once passed you by without a trace begin to slow down, as if waiting for you to notice them. Teachers who would have remained strangers. Pause, turn, and meet your eyes. Books that would have stayed untouched on a shelf somehow end up in your hands. Why? Because you've become visible to what has always been looking for you. Gratitude, in this context, is not just appreciation. It is a gateway, a way of tuning your awareness to a state where synchronicity is no longer rare, but normal. So try this tonight. And don't just experience it silently, engage with it. After you do this, go into the comments and write this exact phrase. I am ready to receive what seeks me. Let that sentence become your declaration, your shift from a life of searching into a life of receiving. And when you complete this practice, something almost imperceptible, but profound, begins to happen. You start seeing patterns that were always there, connections you previously missed, synchronicities that were not absent, only invisible to your previous state of awareness. It's not that the universe suddenly begins working for you. It's that you finally begin working with it. But there's a deeper layer to this. Once you've recognized those 3 moments, sit with one more question. What were you believing about yourself, about life, about reality, just before each of those moments appeared? Because here's what you'll begin to notice. None of those moments were random. Each one arrived at the exact point where something inside you shifted. From doubt to openness. From resistance to surrender. From seeking to allowing. That shift, that invisible internal movement, was the doorway. And when you begin to see this pattern clearly, you gain something most people never realize is possible. You gain the ability to open those doors consciously. You stop waiting for life to push you into readiness through struggle, and you begin choosing readiness as your natural state. And once that happens, everything changes. Now, let me take you somewhere else. Somewhere that reveals a principle most people spend their entire lives resisting without even realizing it. In a valley carved by volcanic fire, where the Earth's molten core rises dangerously close to the surface, there lived a master blacksmith named Brandon Rodriguez. His forge didn't just burn, it sang, a low, resonant tone that travelers claimed followed them into their dreams long after they had left the valley. Brandon was known across kingdoms, not for subtlety, but for dominance. For decades, he had mastered the art of bending metal to his will, hammering, forcing, shaping with relentless precision and strength. Iron did not resist him. It submitted. Until one morning, it didn't. His hammer struck a piece of metal and shattered. Not cracked, not chipped, shattered. He tried again. More heat, different angles, stronger tools. Nothing worked. The metal refused him completely, as if it no longer recognized his authority. Exhausted, confused, he collapsed beside the dying glow of his forge that night. And in that fragile space between waking and sleep, something happened. He heard it, not as sound, but as knowing. The metal spoke. Your force creates resistance. Your surrender reveals my truth. I am not meant to be conquered. I am meant to flow into form. When Brandon opened his eyes, something fundamental had shifted. The next day, he returned to the same piece of iron, but this time, he didn't try to control it. He listened. He felt for the metal's natural inclination to transform. He moved with its rhythm, instead of against it. And in that moment, when he stopped dominating and began partnering, everything changed. What emerged defied everything he had ever created before. Alloys lighter than feathers, yet stronger than diamond. Blades that didn't cut flesh, but cut through illusion. Shields that didn't block arrows, but dissolved fear itself. Word spread. Eventually, A warrior prince crossed deserts to demand his secret. Brandon simply held a glowing ingot in his hands, gently, like it was alive. I don't have a secret, he said. I just listen to what wants to become, and I help it arrive. Let that sink in. How much of your life have you spent forcing outcomes? Pushing, struggling, trying to bend reality into your vision through sheer effort? And how often has that force created the very resistance you were trying to break through? Because here is the truth that changes everything. Creation does not respond to dominance. It responds to harmony. The moment you stop fighting the current of the universe and begin flowing with it, you access a kind of power that effort alone can never reach. Your desires don't manifest because you conquered them into existence. They manifest because you aligned with what was already trying to emerge. This is where most people get stuck. They believe manifestation is about discipline, visualizing harder, affirming louder, believing stronger. But real transformation, the kind that actually lasts, doesn't come from force. It comes from resonance. The universe is not waiting for you to prove your worth through struggle. It is waiting for you to soften, enough to receive what is already yours. This is the secret every master eventually discovers. Not just blacksmiths, but artists, creators, visionaries. You cannot force greatness. You can only create the conditions where greatness naturally unfolds. You cannot dominate beauty into existence. You can only align with it, until it moves through you without resistance. Brandon didn't learn something new. He unlearned something old, the belief that control equals power. What he discovered instead is that true power comes from partnership, from recognizing that you are not separate from what you are trying to shape, but part of the same living field. And when you honor that unity, when you work with the intelligence already present in the moment, in the material, in the situation, what once seemed like miracles becomes normal. This applies to everything. Your relationships, your work, your creative expression, your path. Every time you force, you create resistance. Every time you flow, you create possibility. But don't misunderstand this. Flow is not passivity. It doesn't mean you stop acting. It doesn't mean you stop choosing. It means your actions arise from attunement, not anxiety. From presence, not pressure. From trust, not fear. You can feel the difference. When you are forcing, your body tightens. Your jaw clenches. Your breath becomes shallow. Your shoulders carry invisible weight. But when you are flowing, there is still effort, sometimes immense effort, but it feels different. It doesn't drain you. It energizes you. So let's bring this into your body right now. Stop for a moment. Sit up straight. Place your hands on your knees, palms open, facing upward. This is not symbolic. This is physical alignment with receiving. Now breathe, but consciously. And with each exhale, release one layer of control. Inhale slowly, and internally say, I am the universe flowing freely. Exhale, and feel tension leave your body, your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. Actually feel it dissolve. Inhale again, I am divine will in motion. Exhale, release resistance from your mind. The grip you've been holding on outcomes, the fear that if you stop forcing, nothing will happen. Inhale, I am perfect cosmic timing. Exhale, surrender the need to control when and how your life unfolds. Continue this for at least 2 minutes or longer until something shifts inside you, until you feel lighter, more open, like molten metal, ready to flow into the shape life has prepared. This is not weakness. This is power. Because the moment you stop blocking reality with effort, you allow it to move through you with precision you could never engineer alone. So ask yourself honestly, where in your life are you forcing instead of flowing? And what would it look like to trust the process instead? Because here's the deeper truth. Brandon's Forge was never just a place. It was a principle. And every time you choose flow over force, harmony over struggle, you step into that forge. And you allow life itself to shape you into something far greater than anything you could have forced on your own. You think you're late, that you've missed something, that if only you had found this years ago, 5 years, 10 years, your life would already be different. But here's the truth that quietly dissolves that entire belief. You are exactly on time. Not close. Not almost. Exactly. The reason you are here, right now, watching this moment, not last year, not next month, is because this is the precise point where your awareness can finally receive what is being transmitted. If this had reached you earlier, You might have understood the words, but you would not have become them. And that changes everything. Every experience you've lived through, every moment of confusion, every pain you've carried, every question that lingered without answer, it wasn't random. It was preparation. It was shaping the inner landscape of your awareness, making it fertile enough for something deeper to take root. The universe does not make mistakes with timing. It never has. Look back at the story of Jessica's marketplace. Her treasures didn't respond to demand, they responded to readiness. The copper bowl existed long before the traveler ever arrived. But it only became real, fully alive, when his consciousness finally matched it. And the same is true for you. This teaching has existed for centuries, in different forms, through different voices. But it is appearing in your life now, because now is the moment you can do something with it. Now is when your inner world has evolved enough to not just hear, but to transform. There is a concept in quantum physics called the observer effect. It reveals something profound. The act of observation changes the thing being observed. Particles exist in a state of infinite possibility until awareness collapses them into one reality. And your consciousness works in the same way. The teachings you are ready for don't slowly arrive. They collapse into your life the moment you are capable of recognizing them fully. Not intellectually, but experientially. Not as an idea, but as truth. You've been moving toward this moment your entire life. Every book that almost resonated, but didn't quite reach you, every teacher who helped, but couldn't complete your path, every period of doubt, every dark night, every moment you almost gave up, all of it was guiding you here, calibrating you, aligning you, bringing you into this exact state. So no, you are not behind. You haven't missed anything. You are right on time. And that feeling you have right now, that subtle stirring inside you, it's not just emotion. It's recognition. Something within you remembering what it always knew before the world taught you to question it. Now, what we're exploring here is only one layer. The principle of recognition. The understanding that readiness unlocks what has always been present. But this is just one point in a much larger spectrum. And if you feel that, if you sense there is something deeper beneath this, you're right. Because once you truly understand that you are not late, that nothing has been lost, something fundamental shifts in how you move through life. You stop rushing. You stop forcing. You stop living in that quiet anxiety that whispers, I should have done this sooner. What if it's too late? And instead, you begin to trust the unfolding. You begin to see that what you once called delay was preparation. What you once called detour was protection. What you once called waiting was ripening. Think about fruit for a moment. An apple doesn't ripen faster because you want it to. It follows a rhythm you cannot control: sunlight, temperature, time. If you pick it too early, it's sour. If you wait too long, it decays. But at the exact moment it is ready, it becomes perfect. Your life follows the same law. There are understandings you can only absorb at certain stages. Opportunities you can only recognize when your awareness has expanded enough. Relationships you can only sustain when you have become the person who can hold them. This doesn't mean you stop acting or sit still waiting for life to deliver. It means you move, but from trust, not desperation. You act, but from inspiration, not fear of missing out. And here's where it becomes almost unbelievable. When you stop running ahead of your own readiness, when you align with your timing instead of resisting it, things begin to appear that were completely invisible before. Not because they weren't there, but because you weren't. Your awareness simply wasn't at the level where they could be seen. So let me ask you something. Can you remember a moment in your life when something arrived at exactly the right time? Not early, not late, perfect. Because when you begin to recognize those moments, you're not just remembering. You're activating a pattern, strengthening a signal, telling reality, I see how this works, and I am ready to live in alignment with it. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Most spiritual paths teach you to search, to seek, to chase truth across distance and time. And yes, there is value in that. Movement creates momentum. Questions open doors. Exploration expands your awareness. But there is a shadow side to seeking that almost no one talks about. Because when you are always searching for the next answer, the next breakthrough, the next level, you are unconsciously operating from lack. You are broadcasting a signal that says, what I have isn't enough, where I am isn't enough, who I am isn't enough. And the universe, being a perfect mirror, responds accordingly. It gives you more to search for, more to chase, more to feel incomplete about. This is why the deepest treasures never reveal themselves to those who are desperate to find them. They reveal themselves to those who have become still enough to receive. And this is the paradox that changes everything. You cannot find what you are looking for by looking. You find it when you become the person who no longer needs to look. Because you finally recognize it was never outside of you. It was always here, waiting for you to see it. Most spiritual paths teach you to seek, to search, to travel across distance and time in pursuit of truth. And yes, there is value in that. Movement creates momentum. Questions open doors. Exploration stretches the edges of your awareness. But there is a shadow hidden inside this constant searching, something rarely spoken about. Because when you are always chasing the next teaching, the next breakthrough, the next level, you are unknowingly operating from a state of lack. You are sending a silent signal into the quantum field that says, what I have is not enough, where I am is not enough, who I am is not enough. And the universe, perfect mirror that it is, responds with precision. It gives you more to seek, more to chase, more to feel incomplete about. And this is why the deepest treasures never reveal themselves to those who are desperate to find them. They reveal themselves only to those who have become still enough to receive. This is the paradox at the center of transformation. You cannot find what you are looking for by looking. You find it when you become the one who no longer needs to look, because you have recognized that everything you were searching for has always been within you. Think back to Jessica's marketplace. Her objects did not respond to those who came grasping, demanding, trying to acquire. They revealed themselves to those who had searched long enough to finally stop searching, to those who had journeyed far enough to realize the journey was never external. The traveler who received the copper bowl did not succeed because he found it. He succeeded because he no longer needed to. His consciousness had shifted beyond the frequency of seeking into the state of recognition. Can you feel the difference? Seeking moves outward. Recognition turns inward. Seeking says, I need something I don't have. Recognition says, I am ready to see what has always been here. And understand this clearly. This doesn't mean you stop growing. It doesn't mean you stop learning. It means you shift the way you move. From chasing to unfolding. From lack to readiness. From effort to alignment. And that shift, subtle, almost invisible, changes everything. There is an old Zen story that captures this perfectly. A student once asked a master, how long will it take me to reach enlightenment? The master answered, 10 years. The student, impatient, replied, what if I work twice as hard? And the master said, then 20 years. Let that land. The harder you seek, the further you move from what you are seeking. Because seeking itself creates separation. It reinforces the belief that what you want exists somewhere else, sometime else, outside of you. But recognition dissolves that illusion. It reveals that nothing was ever missing. You were simply looking past it, through it, beyond it, convinced that truth had to be more complex, more distant, more difficult than it actually is. And this is the cosmic joke that most never see. The treasure you have searched for across years, across places, across identities, has been in your own field the entire time. Not metaphorically, literally. It has been in your awareness, your presence, your simple ability to see what is instead of what you think should be. And the moment you stop seeking and start seeing, everything begins to reveal itself. Not because it suddenly arrived, but because you finally arrived at the state that can receive it. And the moment you stop seeking and start truly seeing, everything you need begins to reveal itself. Not because it suddenly arrived, but because you finally arrived at the state that can receive it. So let me show you what has been encoded inside these ancient stories all along. When the text speaks of merchants and blacksmiths, when it describes impossible objects and transformations that seem mystical, it isn't asking you to believe in fantasy. It's asking you to recognize something far more unsettling, that the same magic is already operating in your life right now, hidden only because you've been conditioned not to notice it. Every person you've ever encountered was either a teacher or a student, often both at the same time. Every challenge you faced was either a prison or a classroom, depending entirely on how you chose to perceive it. And every single moment of your life has been a kind of exchange, a silent transaction between you and the universe, where something is always being offered, and you are either accepting it or unconsciously refusing it based on your level of readiness. The marketplace was never somewhere else. It's here. It's now. It's the field of possibility that surrounds you in every moment. And you are not just the one walking through it. You are both sides of the exchange. You are Jessica, holding treasures you don't yet know how to access. And you are the traveler, finally becoming ready to receive them. Part of you is already carrying gifts, abilities, insights that have not yet been activated, not because they don't exist, but because the rest of you hasn't caught up to them yet. And at the same time, another part of you is moving through this marketplace right now, your eyes slowly opening, your hands finally empty enough to receive instead of grasp. This is the teaching beneath the teaching. You are not separate from the intelligence that distributes wisdom. You are that intelligence, experiencing itself through your life, awakening itself through your awareness. The book that appears when you are ready isn't somewhere out there waiting for you. It's here. It's inside you, written in the language of your own becoming. And every time you choose awareness over unconsciousness, presence over distraction, surrender over control, you are reading another page. But here is where it becomes uncomfortable. Most people will hear something like this and feel something real. A shift, a spark, maybe even emotion rising. And then they leave. They click away, return to their routines, and within days, it fades. Not because the truth wasn't real, but because they didn't integrate it. And this is the part almost no one talks about. Receiving requires more than interest. It requires integration. It requires you to actually change, not just agree with the idea of change, but to restructure how you move through your life. Your daily actions, your automatic reactions, your unconscious patterns. Because the universe is already offering everything all the time. There is no shortage, no delay, no holding back. But you can only receive what your current identity has space to hold. If your identity is built around struggle, you will reject ease when it appears. If it is built around unworthiness, you will sabotage the very gifts you've been asking for. If it is built around seeking, you will overlook what is right in front of you, convinced that the real answer must be somewhere else. This is why readiness matters more than effort. You cannot force yourself into readiness. You cannot perform it. Because your system knows. Your body knows. Your state reveals the truth, no matter what you say. The universe doesn't respond to your intentions, it responds to what you actually are. So how do you become ready? Not by adding more, but by removing what blocks you. The beliefs, the identities, the stories you've been carrying that keep you locked in a state where the deepest gifts cannot reach you. For some, it's the belief that everything must be earned through suffering. For others, it's the story that something is broken inside them, that they need fixing before they can receive. And for many, it's the quiet identity of being behind, being late, being not enough. These are not just thoughts. They are barriers. And until they are seen and released, you will continue to meet the same lessons in different forms, wondering why nothing changes. But the truth is, everything is already being given. You're just not receiving it yet. Now I want you to feel this, not just understand it. Say it out loud. I am ready. Don't add anything to it. Don't soften it. Don't negotiate with it. Just those 3 words. And as you say them, notice what happens inside your body. Notice the subtle resistance that might rise, the voice that immediately interrupts with reasons why you're not actually ready yet, the quiet tension, the doubt, the sense of unworthiness that tries to pull you back. That, right there, is the doorway. Because the moment you become aware of what blocks your readiness, you begin to loosen its grip. So say it again. But this time, as the words leave your lips, consciously release something that has been holding you in a state of not being ready. Maybe it's a resentment you've been carrying. Maybe it's a failure you've been replaying over and over. Maybe it's an identity you've been forcing yourself into, instead of allowing your real self to emerge. I am ready. Release. I am ready. Release. Continue until something shifts. Until the words stop feeling like something you're trying to convince yourself of and start feeling like something you recognize as true. As if your soul has been waiting for your mind to catch up, and now, finally, they meet. This is what active receiving actually looks like. Not sitting back, hoping life will deliver something to you, but actively creating the internal space where what is already seeking you can finally land. And here is what most people don't realize. The moment you genuinely embody this state, reality reorganizes itself around you. Not later, not eventually, immediately. Opportunities begin to surface. Conversations begin to shift. People who resonate with your state begin entering your life. Circumstances start aligning in ways that would have felt impossible from your previous identity. Why? Because you are no longer broadcasting lack. You are broadcasting readiness. And the universe responds to that signal with absolute precision. Now pause for a moment. I want you to choose one word. Just one. A word that captures the state you are choosing to embody from this moment forward. Not something that sounds impressive, not something you think you should say, but something that is real for you. It could be ready. It could be open. It could be aligned. It could be receiving. Whatever word arises naturally, that is your declaration to the quantum field. That is your signal that you are no longer the same version of yourself who started this journey. You've shifted, and even if it feels small, that shift is seismic at the level of consciousness. And here's why this matters more than you think. The moment you declare something, especially in a shared space, you are not just speaking to yourself. You are interacting with the collective field. And the collective field amplifies what you commit to. There are countless people experiencing this at the same time, each at their own stage, each carrying their own frequency. But when multiple individuals choose the same inner shift simultaneously, something powerful happens. A resonance forms, and that resonance expands what becomes possible, not just for you, but for everyone connected to it. This is how movements begin, not with someone telling others what to do, but with individuals choosing a new way of being at the same time. So don't skip this moment. Don't stay passive. Choose your word. Make your declaration. Step into the field of those who are no longer chasing, because they have recognized they are ready to receive. And if something in you is resonating deeply with this, if this feels like more than just information, then stay connected. Not just to the content, but to this frequency, this space where awareness becomes transformation, where people are not just learning, but actually shifting. Because here is the final truth of this layer. The more people who embody this state, the more reality begins to reflect it back. You are not just an individual moving through life anymore. You are part of a collective shift. And every person who moves from seeking into receiving, from force into flow, from lack into readiness, makes it easier for the next person to do the same. This is how reality changes. Not all at once, but one consciousness at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of readiness at a time. So let's bring everything back to where it has always been pointing. The book you've been searching for, the one that only appears when your time has come, you're already reading it. Not as something external, not as an object waiting somewhere out there, but as a living text, unfolding through your own awakening. Every experience you've lived is a chapter. Every person you've encountered is a character revealing something about you. Every challenge is a plot twist designed to deepen your understanding. And every breakthrough is a revelation showing you what has always been possible within you. You are not separate from this story. You are both the reader and the story itself, the seeker and the treasure, the question and the answer, and the readiness you've been waiting for. It was never something that arrives one day from the outside. It is something you choose again and again, in the smallest moments and the biggest ones. Every time you release control and trust the flow. Every time you recognize perfect timing instead of resisting delay. Every time you shift from seeking into receiving. That is readiness, not a destination you reach, but a frequency you learn to live in. And whether you realize it or not, you have been tuning yourself to this state your entire life. Even in the moments where you felt completely lost, especially in those moments. Because sometimes the deepest readiness is forged in confusion, not clarity. The ancient teachers understood this. That's why their stories always move through darkness before illumination, confusion before clarity, descent before return. The hero always enters the underworld before emerging with the treasure. Because readiness is not built in comfort. It is forged in challenge. Not by the challenge itself, but by how you meet it. Every difficulty you've faced has been an invitation to trust more deeply. Every loss has been an opening to discover what cannot be taken from you. Every moment of not knowing has been a doorway into a knowing beyond logic. And if you're honest, you already know this is true. Your greatest transformations did not happen when everything was easy. They happened at the edge, when you were pushed to choose collapse or expansion. And you expanded, not because you were chosen, not because you were special, but because something deeper within you chose growth over safety. That part of you is being activated right now, not the part that seeks comfort, not the part that wants guarantees, but the part that wants truth more than ease. The part that is willing to be transformed, even when transformation feels uncomfortable. Because this is what readiness actually feels like. Not peaceful perfection, but a live willingness. A quiet, powerful recognition that you would rather evolve through discomfort than stay the same inside comfort. So here is the invitation. Stop waiting. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone or something to tell you that now you are finally ready. You are ready now. You have always been ready. You just forgot. And now, you are remembering. The marketplace is open. The forge is lit. The copper bowl is already resonating. And the universe is not watching to judge you. It is witnessing the moment you finally stop searching and begin receiving. Everything you have ever wanted is waiting for you to become the version of yourself that no longer needs to want it. Let that become your new frequency. Let that become your declaration. Let that become the truth you carry forward. You are ready. The universe already knows it. And now, so do you. This moment, right here, is the threshold. Not between your past and your future, but between the version of you that doubts and the version of you that embodies readiness. Both exist right now. Both are available. The only question is, which one are you feeding? With your attention, with your energy, with your belief. Because here is the truth almost no one tells you. The universe is not testing you to see if you are worthy. It is responding to what you already are. That is how the system works. Consciousness recognizes itself. Frequency meets frequency. And the moment you stop trying to appear ready and actually become ready, everything you have been preparing for begins to move toward you. Not in some distant future. Now, in the choices you make today, in the way you show up tonight, in how you interpret what happens tomorrow. The book has already appeared. The teaching has already found you. The marketplace is open, and you are standing at the threshold with everything you need. The only question left is this. Will you step forward? Will you choose readiness over familiarity? Will you trust that what is seeking you is worth letting go of who you used to be? Will you allow yourself to be transformed by the very thing you have been asking for? And if your answer is yes, and something tells me it is, otherwise you would not still be here, then your life is about to reflect that yes back to you, in ways that will surprise you, in ways that will expand you, not because the universe rewards belief, but because the universe moves as you move. When you shift, it shifts. When you open, it opens. When you say yes, reality says yes with you. This is the teaching beneath all teachings. The truth hidden in plain sight. The treasure that was never missing, only waiting to be recognized. You are ready. You have always been ready. And from this moment forward, life will begin to show you that truth again and again. In quiet ways. In extraordinary ways. Until you no longer doubt it. Welcome home. But understand this. When you step into this new state, something else begins. A collapse. Not the collapse you fear, but the collapse that frees you. Because you cannot hold a new state inside an old identity. The version of you that was built on doubt, on lack, on searching, begins to dissolve. Not as punishment, but as necessity. This is the transition most people misunderstand. And if you don't understand it, you might think something is wrong. But nothing is wrong. Something is finally working. And that is why what comes next matters. Because once you step into readiness, you don't go back. You evolve. And if you're willing, the next step will show you exactly how to move through this transformation without losing yourself, but becoming who you were always meant to be. And if something in you is still listening, not just to the words, but to what's beneath them, then don't let this be the moment you walk away and forget. Because what you're feeling right now, this subtle shift, this quiet recognition, it fades when it's not nourished. Not because it wasn't real, but because it wasn't continued. So if you feel it, stay connected. Not just to this video, but to this space. A space where these ideas aren't just explained, they're experienced. Where you're not just consuming information, you're evolving through it. Subscribe, not as a habit, but as a decision. A decision to keep returning to this state. To keep deepening this awareness. Because the truth is, this isn't something you understand once. It's something you grow into, layer by layer, moment by moment. And if you're still here, you already know this is just the beginning.